Shiv Sareen, Director and Chancellor ILBS, Dr. M.K. Daga, Vice Chancellor, Dr. R.P. Mathur, Senior Consultant, Ashok Chakradharji, Naveen ji, distinguished doctors, scientists, nurses, administrative staff, students, patients, and friends. A very warm good morning to all of you. Let me begin with an honest truth. A visit to a hospital is something that nobody really looks forward to. Given a choice between being stuck in a traffic jam on the Delhi-Gurgaon highway and a hospital visit, I'm sure most of us would probably choose the traffic jam. At least in a traffic jam, there is the comforting certainty that the road will eventually clear. But in a hospital, there is always the uncertainty of what the tests may reveal and what the diagnosis may bring. So normally, being invited to a hospital is not exactly a cause for celebration. But today is one of those rare occasions when being in a hospital is actually both a pleasure and a privilege. It is a pleasure to be invited as the chief guest at an ILBS function, because ILBS is one of those rare hospitals where patients feel reassured the moment they walk in, knowing that they are in the hands of some of the finest doctors and caregivers in the country. As we heard former President APJ Abdul Kalam Sahab mention that this is a hospital where you have care with compassion. It is care with a smile, and that is something really very rare to find in a hospital. And it is a privilege because I stand here not only to mark World Kidney Day, but also as one of your patients, someone who has personally experienced the extraordinary professionalism, compassion, and care that defines this institution. So in a sense, while I may be here in a formal role of chief guest, I also feel a deeper personal connection, because this is a place where science, skill, and humanity come together every single day to give patients hope and healing. 3 months ago, I had not even heard terms like glomerular filtration rate or serum creatinine. These were just obscure medical phrases that meant little to me. It was only during a routine checkup that these numbers suddenly became very real and very personal. My GFR had quietly slipped below the threshold that separates the blissfully unaware from the medically cautious. My creatinine levels, I later noticed, had been inching upwards for years, unnoticed, because I had never thought of getting them checked regularly. Like many people with early kidney disease, I felt perfectly fine. I looked fine. I went about my daily life convinced that everything was normal. But as doctors here know only too well, kidney disease often works in silence. By the time the body begins to complain, the damage has already been done. To be sure, I am not in crisis, not on dialysis, but I now live with mild chronic kidney disease. And every morning when I wake up, I am reminded that the health that I once took entirely for granted is in fact a privilege that requires vigilance, discipline, and gratitude. What shook me most was not the diagnosis itself. It was the realization that had I known earlier, had I taken simple annual blood tests seriously, had I controlled my blood pressure more diligently, had I reduced salt in my intake even 2 years earlier, the trajectory might have been entirely different. Prevention was always within my reach. I simply did not reach for it. And so today, speaking from that place of personal experience, I do not stand before you as a detached dignitary. I stand before you as someone who understands what it means to receive a report with numbers that suddenly change your relationship with your own body forever. Luckily, I had Dr. Shiv Sareen in my corner, and he introduced me to Dr. R.P. Mathur, whose calm reassurance and clarity immediately turned what had felt like a frightening diagnosis into something manageable and understandable. That, in many ways, is the difference great doctors make. They do not simply treat a disease, they restore a patient's sense of control. They explain the science, but they also offer perspective. They replace fear with knowledge, and anxiety with a plan. And we just saw the brilliant presentation that Dr. Mathur made on what are the 8 things that you can do to prevent early kidney disease. So under their guidance, I began to understand that while CKD may not always be reversible, its progression can often be slowed with the right treatment, careful monitoring, and disciplined lifestyle choices. Blood pressure must be controlled. Salt intake must be reduced. Regular tests must be taken seriously. Small decisions, repeated every day, become the front line of prevention. And that is why World Kidney Day is so important. Because kidney disease, unlike many other conditions, often advances quietly and invisibly. Millions of people around the world are living with impaired kidneys without even knowing it. By the time symptoms appear, valuable time may have already been lost. The message, therefore, is simple but powerful. Check early, protect your kidneys, and take prevention seriously. A small blood test, a simple urine test, and regular monitoring can make the difference between lifelong kidney health and a difficult medical journey. If my own experience can serve any purpose today, it is to remind all of us that awareness is the first step towards prevention. And institutions like ILBS play a crucial role, not only in treating disease, but in spreading that awareness and saving countless lives through early intervention. They even have a mobile van which is now going to remote parts of Delhi NCR, teaching patients the importance of early prevention. When the foundation stone of ILBS was laid in 2003, it was a dream of creating a dedicated center of excellence for liver and biliary diseases in the heart of the nation's capital. By 2010, that dream had become a hospital. Today, it is something far greater, an institution that has reshaped the landscape of hepatology in India and earned respect on the global stage. ILBS is not merely a hospital. It is a deemed university accredited by NAAC with an A grade, training the next generation of super specialists in gastroenterology, hepatology, nephrology, transplant medicine, and more. With over 1,000 doctors, nurses, and healthcare professionals working in state-of-the-art facilities, it has emerged as one of India's leading centers for advanced medical care and research. Its nephrology wing, which concerns us today, is among the finest in the country. And no acknowledgement of ILBS is complete without speaking of the man who built it up from the ground up. Professor Shiv Kumar Sareen, Padma Bhushan awardee, internationally respected hepatologist, former chairman of the Board of Governors of the Medical Council of India, and above all, a visionary institution builder. Professor Sareen is recognized worldwide for developing new protocols for managing hepatitis and cirrhosis. He helped drive India's national viral hepatitis control program and brought non-alcoholic fatty liver disease into national health priorities. Over the decades, he has trained hundreds of doctors and produced research that influences clinical practice across continents. Yet, what I admire most is that he has never lost sight of the individual patient. And he demonstrated this beautifully through his book, Own Your Body, A Doctor's Life-Saving Tips, published by Bloomsbury, India. It is an extraordinary attempt to bridge the gap between complex medical science and everyday life. At the heart of the book lies a powerful message. Do not outsource your health to doctors. Embrace self-care. This is a profound idea. Too often we wait for symptoms before we pay attention to our bodies. Dr. Sareen reminds us that good health depends not only on medical care, but on the daily choices we make, the food we eat, the exercise we take, and the discipline with which we live our lives. For someone like me, who discovered a chronic condition only recently, this message resonates deeply. It reminds us that while doctors can guide and treat us, the responsibility for protecting our health ultimately lies with each one of us. When I was diagnosed with mild CKD, Dr. Mathur, my nephrologist, told me something I will never forget. He said, "The good news is you caught this early enough. The lifestyle changes that you make now will determine whether this stays mild or becomes serious." That sentence contained everything. It was a warning, a reassurance, and a responsibility all at once. Since then, I have reduced my sodium intake, controlled my blood pressure, eliminated unnecessary analgesics, increased hydration, and in the past 3 months alone, have already had my kidney function tested twice. None of these things required extraordinary willpower or resources. They required simply awareness. And that is precisely why occasions like today so profoundly. Every awareness campaign, every health checkup, every workshop that teaches a person what their creatinine levels means or why a random blood sugar test matters, these are acts of prevention. And prevention is not just better than cure. In kidney disease, prevention is the only cure available, because damaged nephrons, the filtering units of kidneys, do not regenerate, unlike the liver. What is lost is lost. What is preserved through vigilance and lifestyle is preserved. So to the medical professionals and researchers in this room, you are doing truly sacred work. The path from a patient's first diagnosis to their stability, the expertise, the empathy, the long hours, the clinical decisions made under pressure is invisible to most of the world, but not to those who have been on the other side of the consultation table. Thank you. To the students and young doctors, the philosophy of Dr. Sarin's Own Your Body applies to you as practitioners, not just as individuals. The best thing you can do for the public health of this nation is to spend 5 extra minutes with each patient, explaining what their diagnosis means, what they can do about it, and why the lifestyle choices they make starting today will matter decades from now. That 5 minutes might be the most important conversation they ever have. To the patients and their families who are here today, I see you. I stand with you. Living with any chronic condition requires a particular kind of courage. The courage of the long haul, of the routine that never ends, of the hope that is tempered by realism. Know that you are not alone. Institutions like ILBS exist precisely for you. And the doctors here are committed, and they have committed their entire professional lives to your care. And let me end with one simple thought. Our kidneys, as Dr. Mathur explained to us, are extraordinary organs, quiet, tireless, and utterly loyal. They work for us every minute of every day, filtering our blood, balancing our chemistry, sustaining our lives. Yet, we rarely think about them until something goes wrong. Our ancient medical tradition understood the importance of the system thousands of years ago. The Sushruta Samhita reminds us, Vastir Moolam Sharirasya. The urinary system is one of the very foundations of the human body. Modern nephrology expresses it in the language of creatinine and GFR, but the wisdom is the same. When our kidneys function well, the entire body remains in balance. World Kidney Day is a reminder that we must change our relationship with our health. We must move from neglect to awareness, from reaction to prevention, from taking our bodies for granted to taking responsibility for them. If there is one message I would like each of us to carry out of this hall today, it is this: listen to your body before it is forced to speak out loudly. Get tested, control your blood pressure, reduce salt, stay informed, above all, take ownership of your health. Because in the end, medicine can guide us, doctors can treat us, and institutions like ILBS can provide us with a sanctuary of healing. But the first and most important guardian of our health is each one of us. Thank you.